Of course, I went 30 minutes and it didn't record. I was wondering why there was nothing going on. That's fantastic. Nonetheless, welcome to Ignite Thursday. My name is Marcus, and I have been doing Ignite Thursdays because I am taking my experiences, my studies, and my observations to come on and help people ignite their mindset for change. And in doing so, I'm working on the mindset, optimizing it, and providing perspective on things that can help you ultimately change your life. And so with that being said, again, this is the second time recording this. It probably helps to know that it is on live. That would make sense. It's been a while since I've done lives on Instagram. So again, we're going to go through this again. All right. So why did the Ignite Thursday start? Essentially, what I was trying to do, I started a YouTube channel that I was trying to just help people out in general. And then I came up with this idea of Ignite Thursdays, or not Ignite, the Underdog Experiment, right? And I was just trying to provide people perspective on pillars that I thought would really change people's lives. And from those 4 pillars, which is now dwindled down to 3, in going through that experiment, I realized that, hey, you know what? I need to go back more into the mindset and start working on the mindset and optimizing the mindset to provide the perspective. So that's where everything essentially ties into. And so in doing that, I did the experiment, and again, refining, I'm all about that ready, fire, and aim, that last bit, right? So nonetheless, so I went through the whole underdog experiments. I felt like there was more that was needed. So I started these Ignite Thursdays. I started writing a book about this, and it's actually something, the past couple Ignite Thursdays, I've been talking about emotional ignition, which is important, right? Is try to find that thing that essentially we're trying to jolt you to start doing it, because it's just important to start getting in motion. And then once you get in motion, things become a lot smoother, right? And a lot more simpler. But that being said, I had emotional ignition, then I wanted to provide perspective, because I think perspective is one of those things that really open your eyes. That kind of give you that like aha moment, right? And in moving from there, I couldn't just leave it, right? I felt like there was something more, because to be able to change your mindset, there's a lot more that's involved. And in trying to reverse engineer this stuff, I found that there is one more important piece here, and it is time. That's why this video is labeled The Now, because I want to talk about the past, the now, and the future. Now, you may have heard the now, right? The now is what's going on right now. You're watching this video, so you can hear me, you can see me, right? Everything that's going on right this very moment. This is the most important moment, right? With that being said, let's dive into the past. A lot of people like to get stuck on the past. And I see the past is essentially something that can help you connect the dots to the reason why you are where you are today, right? And I think there's nothing more than that. The past or the future does not exist, right? The only thing that does exist, the only thing that's guaranteed is the now. Right? The future is not guaranteed, the past is not guaranteed, or they don't essentially exist, right? Being said, the past is good for teaching us things. The past is good for, again, connecting everything onto why things happen in our life, right? And it makes sense to why things happen, right? But we have to understand that in the now is the navigation, right? And to think about the future, you can't think about the future, right? There is no guarantee about the future. There's no guarantee about tomorrow. In the current situation that we're in, you realize that life can change on a dime. Being said, right? So there is a lot of uncertainty in life. To be able to ignite your mindset, to be able to change, you have to realize that nothing is certain. Not the 9-to-5 job, not any of these things, right? Everything can change, right? You can be driving to work, get in a wreck. Things can change on a dime. You have to realize that there is uncertainty everywhere. You have to be okay with that, and it's okay, right? And one of the biggest things to understand here too is that when you're thinking about the decisions you make, right, there is no wrong decisions. You always try to make decisions with the intention that it is the best decision you are making in the given moment. Now, there are certain circumstances to every decision that you make, right? There's the butterfly effect, right? But ultimately, there is no wrong decision, right? So quit holding back, right? Holding on to the past. You need to realize that the past, even if it's some murky, muddy water, right? You can dilute that mud in that muddy water by correcting the now, right? You aren't the past anymore. Maybe you were the jock 10 years ago. That's not who you are today. Maybe today you can't even run a mile, right? You have to realize that you aren't the person you were back then. That person was left back there 10 years ago. You're the person you are now. You're the person that continues to change to clear out that murky water in the past, right? And this is where I think it's important to move on and realize that you are, again, the navigation on every day, and the decisions that you make every single day can clear that up, can make that water clearer, right? The more you navigate today, the more you execute on today, the clearer that water gets. And with that being said, right, without the uncertainty and understanding that things are uncertain and being okay with that, you have to understand that you can't, our minds like to predict, right, in the future, and I've talked about this before, and the thing is again, it doesn't exist. Our minds, our ego will provide us reasons as to why not to do it, and it will talk us down from doing actions in the now to not look for something in the future that we want to get, right? And so we have to realize that we can change that by, again, getting rid of the ego and allowing ourselves to just focus, be okay with the uncertainty, and just execute on the now. What can I do now to be able to, again, correct my past, to make my past something more I can be proud of, right? And realize that I'm not held back by tags, I'm not held back by descriptions of who I thought I was, because that's not me anymore. We have to realize that we're in a constant state of change. Everything is constantly changing. Nothing is the same. And in the now, we can change any direction we want to go. And that is what's amazing about being in control of your life, that you have 110% control of your life, right? You can change it at any time, right? Like, I can stand up right now and go outside and drive my car 2 states over if I wanted to, right? I could change the projection of my life at any moment. You have to realize that it is possible. You can do that by focusing on the now. Not worrying about the future, because it's uncertain, right? You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? Our ego will tell us something bad will happen because it's trying to protect ourselves, right? It's trying, puts us in that survival mode where it's trying to stop us from doing something because we feel like the ego may be bruised a little bit, right? And instead, just being okay with uncertainty. Once you are completely relaxed with uncertainty, right, things are perfectly okay, right? Like you're not afraid to do things. You're not afraid to try things in the now because you're trying to make your life better, right? Because we, again, are in that constant state of creation, right? If you're creating the life that you want day by day, that will be your past, right? And then what you thought was your past is no longer your past. So you're expanding your past into your current state, right? You're allowing it to affect the decisions today, right? And a good metaphor here, right, is to understand that if you are trying to, let's take, you are driving in a car, right? You're driving in a car and you have to realize that down the road, right, life isn't a highway. You can't cruise and put it on cruise control and life is all fine and dandy, right? You are typically driving on a country road, given that there are seasons, right, along this country road. So You know, it could be gorgeous during the summertime, right? You know, windows down, your hair blowing through the wind. Or it could be the winter time, right? Where the road is full of ice. You know, you got 6-foot-inch banks of snow on the sides, right? Maybe a tree falls in the road, right? You have to realize that what's up ahead of you, everything is uncertain. You don't know what's going to happen, right? But you're okay with it because you're navigating and it's fine, right? You've prepared. You've made sure the car is good. You made sure the car has gas. You made sure all these things. So you're prepared for the future. You're prepared for the uncertainty. In the past, I like to use the past as your e-brake. Now imagine riding your car with the e-brake on, right? Hopefully your windows aren't down because then all you can smell is burnt rubber. And not only that, you're going to be going a lot slower than you typically would. So you're not enjoying the ride at all. So you need to remind yourself that when you are thinking about things too much in the past, right? You got to be cognizant of the fact that, you know, where are my thoughts? Where are they at this given moment? So if you're in the present moment, you know where your thoughts are going. And it allows you to correct those thoughts by your navigation, right? And this is why I talk about, you know, you need to have a compass, a GPS, a map, something to know where you're going, right? But you don't want the ego to get in the way and not allow you to execute on something, right? Because it thinks, oh, well, there's a tree in the way, so we might as well just make a left here, right? And you should allow yourself to still navigate in the form that you want to go, right? Whatever direction you want to go. If you come across a tree, oh well, right? It happens. You try to make the best decision with the information you were given, right? And so that's ultimately when you're going down this road, this country road. Yes, there's going to be, you know, there's going to be big curves down this road, this country road, but with navigation, right, you know where you're going, you know the destination you want to go. And the best thing about this is because you're the navigator, because you are a hold of the wheel, right? This is what I talk about in the underdog experiment, right? Is that if you just let your subconscious run your life, you'll be sitting in the back seat. And you won't get the full view of where the car's going, right? You won't get to navigate to where you want to go. But if you take control of the wheel and allow yourself to say, hey, well, right now I'm going to take a break. Maybe I want to go over here and go grab a coffee here, right? Or maybe I want to go shopping over here. Or maybe I just don't even want to go to this destination anymore, right? Maybe I want to go to this destination over here. And so ultimately you have to understand is that you are, again, in full control, right? Are you going to allow the full control, the daily objectives that you need to execute to get to where you want to go, right? Again, you have to realize that we're always evolving into different thoughts and ideas, right? Where you come along and find new perspective and it allows you to change your destination, right? Maybe you find something else, right? But I do find that you should give time to where you want to try to get, right? Because a lot of times you may be going down a path and you may realize that this is not really where I want to go. That's fine, but make sure it's something you really want, right? And not just randomly like, hey, squirrel, I'm gonna make a left right here kind of thing, right? And so in saying that, you know, I started looking at some other different things. When I was looking at emotional ignition, when I was looking at perspective, and then adding this piece of the now and focusing on the now and realizing that you do have all the pieces, right? I think all these different pieces play in together, right? The emotional ignition will get you started. You have to get the ball rolling, right? You need perspective to be like, man, there's opportunities out there, right? And then you need to realize that time in itself, right? I am navigating the ship, right? The future is the future, right? The future is uncertain. I can't be guaranteed anything in the future, so I have to be okay in the now. I have to be happy in the now and realize that I can control. I'm the one that's pushing the gas pedal. I'm the one that's, steering the wheel, right now. And in the past, right, I'm not trying to pull that e-brake. I want to be free of that e-brake. I want to be able to travel where I want to travel, right? And enjoy the journey along the way. And you have to, because once you get to that destination, right, the journey is is coming to an end, right? And then you find a new path, a new destination, new journey. But with that being said, to be able to ignite your mindset, I think these are all different aspects that can really help you in life and help you start creating that mindset to start igniting the change. And when looking back at it and looking over all these different things when I've been writing the book, again, I didn't want to close it out at where I had it, so I figured that this piece would really help in that fashion, is to understand the concept of time and why it's important that now navigates where you're going, right? If you don't realize that now can change everything, right? Because now is the only thing that is guaranteed, then you realize that you're letting the past, again, you're living in the past and living in uncertainty, right? And so you have to eliminate those and not, again, allow that ego to dictate or the past to dictate, but to live in the now to navigate to where you want to go. And, when looking at perspective, right, this is something I wanted to tie into this. I wasn't sure if I was going to tie into this or not, but the perspective in itself, right, I think it's important. Like myself, in writing the book, is one thing I found in writing the book is like a lot of people have been forcing themselves to sit down and write. And I felt like I can't do that. It's not something I do, right? I can't sit down and write 1,000 words. And the reason for that is because I like to provide thought, which is something that I'm actually going to be, I think is my next topic for the next podcast of Discover Ignite, is about thought, about how you should think for yourself, critical thinking, right? And so in thinking over this and writing the book, right, I started thinking about Leonardo da Vinci. And I've always been curious to Leonardo da Vinci and the fact that, he was a philosopher, he was, as an artist, a famous artist, obviously, and he was an engineer, right? And so the thing is that he provided new perspective all the time. He was always getting new perspective. And it's what I think allowed him, to be so creative, allowed him to be so smart, because he wasn't like we are today. We aren't so specialized that we go so deep into something that, we don't have that other additional perspective that could help us perhaps solve a problem. And it's not until you get someone that has multiple perspectives to realize, well, this isn't as hard as it seems, right? Like if you would just do this, it would make things so much easier, right? And so looking at Leonardo, I think we should all become the Leonardo da Vinci, right? Because he, not only that, and going back to the book, right, is that I want to, again, provide some critical thinking. And before writing this stuff, I write when I feel it, and then when I feel like I need more perspective, right, I run and I read, and then I come back and I write more. But he did the same, right? Like he didn't just sit down and paint, right? He was known to just stop and go do something else. And a couple of days later, he would just show up and start painting again, but then he would paint for days on end, right? And so that's the thing, is like, I think that's what's important, is he sought perspective, right? He went out and did different things. He did drawings, right? Or he would go stand by, he loved the flow of water and bird watching, right? That was his thing. And the flow of water, the thing with water is not stagnant, right? It's continuously molding and forming around the rocks. It's moving, right, throughout nature. And Bruce Lee talked about this all the time too, is to be water, to be agile, right? And to form around those things that adapt in your life, right, ultimately. And so I think that's what's extremely important into incorporating all this stuff, not only in writing the book, but just incorporating into the mindset that you have to realize that you have to adapt. Sorry, trying to make sure the screen doesn't go dark. And to adapt and to realize that, okay, I am 110% in control of the now, and to get not bogged down by the past, right? The past is resistance. The future is resistance, right? In the now, you have control over now. What you do now, if you can execute on the task now, right? Like I plan stuff out, yes, but I'm not worried about then because the future, because I put these things on pedestals, right? And then when I get there, I'm disappointed when I get there, right? Because it's not what I thought it would be, right? But I do enjoy the journey, right? And to realize that not only is the future not guaranteed and there's so much uncertainty, but I shouldn't allow that inner voice, right, that ego that's telling me that this is going to happen, right? Because it's the intentions it has is to make sure that you're okay, that you survive, right? That's what it's trying to do. And so it is not always in your best interest to follow the ego, right? Yes, obviously, if there's a real threat to your life, then yes, there would be a reason for your ego. But nowadays, we're not hunters and gatherers anymore, right? So the need for the ego isn't as bad, right? You don't need that filter on there as much. But with that being said, I think for this whole part on mindset and execution, right? I think I've got it established in the fact that you're going to use the emotional ignition, that you're going to use perspective, be in Leonardo, right? Be the person that's going to find the perspective and seeking different things, and don't always force it, right? I think it's important to establish daily routines and do stuff every day, but I think you should have the intention that you're going to finish, but allocate time to seek other perspective or do other different things to seek perspective to help you ignite your mindset, and then realize that you are in control of it right now, right? The future is uncertain again, and the past is just to connect the dots to understand where you're at today, and that it can be changed, it can be a better past by correcting today and doing something today that may be completely off, right? Completely off the way you are, and realizing that you're not your past, that you're not your future, that you're the now. What are you doing now, right? Right now is what is happening. So with that being said, I think that's pretty much what I got for this Ignite Thursday. Again, thank you all for joining me. Again, I do apologize. I did start this at 9. This is my second recording. I need to realize that when the live comes on, the whole Instagram thing has been different and the layout's been different. So I do apologize for that. I did try to make it at 9. I was recording, and I guess I just talked to myself for 30 minutes. And the first one was much better. It always is, right? And then the second one, you come on and you're actually recording. I have second thoughts about that, but nonetheless, I go through it and I aim, ready, fire, aim, right, and just keep going, right? I was going to be on here. It's Ignite Thursday. Hit me up if you have any questions, any concerns, any questions about what I went over today, about the now, about any part of this. Again, I will continue going on Ignite Thursdays. I think now I'm starting to shift more out of the ignition phase, right, of that change, and start doing more of the other perspective things. I think I'm moving on to that, or perhaps even optimization part of it, and then move into the perspective. So that's essentially where I'm going. The book is still rolling around, just to give you an update on that as well. And so we are all good on all fronts. And again, I hope this helped you guys. I appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, guys, I will see you guys later.